Sicily may be part of Italy, but it has its own unique culture. On this trip, we visited some special locales. We flew into Catania, where we stayed in the heart of the city, close to the Piazza Università. Piazza del Duomo, or Cathedral Plaza. Another landmark was the opera. The Teatro Bellini. We found a couple of interesting restaurants and toured the area at night. The next morning in the same area was an incredibly lively market. With fish, meat, and produce. Having had our fill of the big city of Catania, we headed to the Aeolian Islands. They are named after the Greek god of the winds, Aeolus. They are renowned for their steaming volcanoes, cobalt sea, mountains, and beaches. We took a bus via Messina to Milazzo, where we caught a ferry to Lipari. Due in part to my very limited phrase book Italian, we took the slower car ferry. We were assisted by the first of several friendly and helpful Sicilians to find our hotel. When we landed in the Marina Lunga. The Hotel Oriente is a small museum, starting with this display window. Coming off the street, walking through the breakfast area, and out into the garden. The building where our room was located was at the back of the garden, with its own display of antique tools and kitchen utensils. Our secluded patio was surrounded by flowers. And even Greek sarcophagi, or stone coffins. The town of Lipari was a delight to walk around with its narrow, quaint streets. as long as you kept a lookout for the ever-present scooters. Colorful vendors like this fishmonger advertising his swordfish.
Vivo, vivo! Che bello vivo, che bello vivo! Arrostola che bello, arrostola che bello!
We quickly located what was to be our favorite coffee and pastry and ice cream shop. Separated from the ferry terminal harbor by the citadel on a promontory is the Marina Corta. With fishing boats, tour boats, and sidewalk restaurants. The citadel overlooks both harbors and the town. Also located there is the cathedral, accessible up these stairs. From ancient times, the access was through defensible portals and gates. In front of the cathedral is an archaeological park with remains dating from the Greek occupation in the 2nd century AD. Attached to the church is the Norman-era Benedictine cloister from the 12th century. The Normans had evicted the Arabs in 1060 AD and were displaced in turn by the Germans in the 15th century. The museum contains artifacts from shipwrecks in the dangerous waters. A modern-day Greek-style theater is also located up here. The views over the town and harbors are striking. There are numerous tour boats available to take you to various islands. Our first tour was to Volcano, which is very close to Lipari. The volcano, after which the island is named, is still steaming. On our way to Volcano, our tour boat went past some of the remarkable rock formations on the south shore of Lipari. Our tour boat dropped us off on the west side of the island, where the resorts are located on a bay. We could look back at the extinct volcanoes on Lipari. Then we walked the short distance across the island to the ferry terminal, finding a pleasant beach bar for lunch and seeing the hot springs. We decided not to wait for the return of our tour boat and took a hydrofoil ferry back to Lipari. Further up the shore from the town of Lipari is the smaller village of Caneto, also on the island of Lipari. We visited it both on a tour boat and by bus. Its attraction is the beach. It is smaller and quieter than the town of Lipari. This was the only place we saw a war memorial for World War I and II. On another day, we took a boat tour to the island of Salina, going up the coast of Lipari and stopping at Santa Marina Salina for a short visit, with a very lively captain and other tourists. The captain spoke no English, but some other tourists ensured that we knew when to be back at the boat. We continued counterclockwise around the island. Stopping at several attractive spots.
Meravigliosa.
On the southern part of the island, we saw more impressive volcanic rock formations. We stopped once more, this time for a lunch break, at the small town of Leni at the southern tip of the island of Salina.
invece quella di Valle Muria c'è anche un sentiero.
C'è la strada, guarda là. A piedi?
And finally, as we went down the west coast of Lipari, we were able to get amazingly close to the rocks.
Ma come sono là in alto a vedersi il sole, ma che roba.
And then we passed Volcano Island once more and returned to Lipari. Taormina was our next stop. It was an afterthought, but in retrospect, it was a jewel. We wished we had planned more time there. A room in the Pensione Svizzera looked across the Messina Strait to Italy. Attractive coves along this coast are a magnet for tourists. Indicators of ancient Roman occupation abound, like this cemetery. Mount Etna looms over the area. We enter the ancient town through the North Gate. The Palazzo Corvaja is now the Tourist Information Office. But in 1410, the Sicilian Parliament was housed here. From there, we headed up the main street. But we enjoyed the side views off the main street. This beautiful mosaic is in the south gate at the far end of the main street. Close by the Duomo, or Cathedral Square. One of the side streets, called Vicole Stretto, or Narrow Alley, beckoned to me. As did several other steep stairways that are called streets. After climbing up one of these streets, we had a view across the town to the Greek Theater. Although the theater is somewhat in ruins, it is still used for modern concerts. The theater also looks down on the Strait of Messina. Another attraction we enjoyed was Giardino Trevelyan. This garden was created by an English lady, Florence Trevelyan, in the late 19th century, but it is now the town park. It is modeled after the English garden, with follies. And rare and aromatic plants. Also found in the park is a World War II Italian two-man submarine. These craft sunk 2 British battleships in Alexandria Harbor, Egypt, in December 1941. With these pleasant scenes fresh in our memory, we leave Sicily to head home.